Okay, welcome everyone to Think Productive's Ninja Skill Booster this week, the weekly review. We are recording this session, so if you have your camera on, you may be included in the recording, just letting you know that because it is set up as a Zoom meeting rather than a Zoom webinar because we did want this to be interactive today. I will pause or stop the recording after I share some of the content so we can all turn our cameras on and have a great discussion and a great group session. The idea of today's session is that we talk about the weekly review for probably about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we get in and do it together. So for those of you that want to stay on the line with me and do a weekly review together, we'll be locked in this room and getting through our weekly review together because I need to do one as well. So that's what this is all about today. The weekly review is such an important part of keeping on top of our work, keeping on top of our life. So thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. It's such a pleasure to see so many of you here this morning, so many familiar names and some not so familiar. So once again, welcome. Here are my details for you. So my name's Matt Cowdroy. For those of you that haven't met me before, you're welcome to grab a photo or a screenshot of this, write down my email address. You can contact me with any questions, any concerns, any discussions. I love talking about productivity. I love talking about the Productivity Ninja and stress management and helping people with their well-being and enjoying their work and their life. A little bit of background for you. So this book, How to Be a Productivity Ninja, was written by Graham Alcott. So I didn't write the book, even though I call myself a productivity ninja. I came across this book about 7 years ago when I was working in corporate, and I found I was in a role where I was working in a lot of international business and was very overwhelmed. And I found this book helped me get on top of things, helped me feel a sense of calm. The subtitle of the book is Worry Less, Achieve More, Love What You Do. And that's what this is all about. Excuse me. That's what this is all about and what we do at Think Productive, helping people worry less, achieve more, love what they do. So I bought the rights to Graham's training organization, Think Productive, for Australia and New Zealand, and now run the business here with a wonderful team of trainers who we are all called Productivity Ninjas. And that's what we do. We help people with their work, their stress, their life. And our vision is to create a work revolution where everyone loves Mondays. So if you start your week on Monday, that is big call, big call. Now let's get into the content for today. As I said at the start, for those of you that have just joined, I've only got about 10, 15 minutes of content, and then we'll be doing the weekly review together. So lots to share with you, but today is also about action. So what we talk about at Think Productive is this chord model, which is a way of thinking about our workflow, a way of thinking about life and work and what goes on. And it's this idea of the collect phase of collecting all the information together. The organize phase is adding some structure, priorities, detail to all of that data. Reviewing, which is what we'll be doing today. We're focusing on this review phase today. Taking time to stop, reflect. How am I going? Where am I up to? Gathering it all together and just taking time to oversee everything. There's a bit of crossover here in what we'll be doing today, the review phase, which includes the weekly review. Definitely has quite a lot of organizing there as well. And then the do phase is doing the work. And we run a lot of workshops on how to be productive, how to do the work. Today, we're not so much doing the work, we are organizing, overviewing, overseeing, doing our boss thinking that some of you have heard me talk about before. So this is the review phase that we're focused on today. Lovely quote to get us thinking about productivity, making space for what matters. Now, I sometimes like to change this quote a little bit and say that productivity is doing what matters, because we can make space, but unless we get on and do the doing, it doesn't really, we don't get the right result. But we can look at this either way. Making space for what matters is a really good start. It gets us thinking about what's important. We can be so busy just running around chasing our tail, chasing every little thing. So let's talk about the weekly review. It is a critical habit, a crucial productivity ninja habit. The weekly review is where once a week we stop and do some concentrated boss thinking. And for those of you that haven't heard us talk about boss thinking, Boss thinking is that part of the brain that can oversee our work, do the prioritizing, do the planning, whereas our worker brain that we sometimes talk about is the part of our brain that has the skills and does the work. The thing is, we can't do our boss and our worker thinking at the same time because we distract each other. So we get this boss mode, we get into the boss thinking, and in this weekly review, we stay in this empowered thought of I'm the boss of me. I'm the boss of my life. It's a lovely space to be in. About 1 to 2 hours is what we recommend. I'm a bit realistic with this and like to say maybe 1 hour a week is enough. I know that if we ask people to do more than 1 hour a week, it often gets missed because people feel that's too long. But on the other side of the coin, I know someone, Glenn, I don't know if you're on the line, but Glenn does a 3-hour weekly review because he sees the power in this and he sees what a difference it makes to his week. So yeah, some different ways of looking at this, but I think 1 hour a week minimum, but 1 hour a week, if we do that, is fantastic. It helps us stay in control and it helps us stay calm. It really does. This weekly review is such a beautiful time to stop and reflect and take stock of where we're up to with everything and plan ahead. So a nice way to think about this weekly review is it's like flying a plane or a helicopter. You don't take off or you don't land unless you've gone through a bit of a checklist. You've stopped and done a bit of a review of, have I done this? Have I checked this? Have I looked at this? And we don't do this without a checklist. So checklists are really important. I will be sharing with you a link to download quite a detailed looking checklist that I'll hold up there on the screen. I'll be sharing with you a link shortly to download that, which takes us through step by step how to do this weekly review. And once again, the purpose of this weekly review is to be building this sense of calm, be building this sense of control, because that's how we want to be approaching our work. Now, there's another part of our Productivity Ninja training called the second brain. The second brain is like your extended to-do list. Your second brain is where you put all your information. Some of you would have done a brain dump in some of our other workshops. Done the brain dump, got all the information out of your brain onto paper. The second brain is where you store all that, where you store all your thoughts, store your tasks, even just your good ideas. This second brain can contain different areas, and it can be pen and paper. It can exist in a notebook like this if it needs to, or it can be a spreadsheet or an app of some sort. I use an app called Todoist, but you can have this second brain anywhere. It's basically your to-do list or your master action list. It's where everything goes, and your to-do list is part of it, but your second brain also has all the other data that exists in your life. So when we do our weekly review, we spend time with our second brain, and it's really lovely to think about it this way. It's like, it's just hanging out with our second brain and not so much being daunted by it as this to-do list that's just a monster that I can never get on top of, and all these other thoughts I've ever had, all these other good ideas that I'd like to do one day, that can all feel a bit overwhelming. So when we just hang out with our second brain, spend some time in there, we really learn to trust it. We really learn to get to know everything that's in there. What's the stuff that matters? What are the priorities? What do I need to do next? And bringing all this thinking together into the weekly review saves a lot of time. So yes, we need to find 1 or 2 hours a week to do this, but in the long run, it makes us more productive, which effectively is saving time. And it definitely reduces our stress. Because when we get this feeling of, the feeling when you've written yourself a nice big to-do list, and that's part of the process really. And then you've spent a bit of time with that to-do list and gone, wow, there's 30 things on here, or there's 100 things on here if I really keep going. You spend another 3 minutes just going, what are the top 10 things? What are the top 5 priorities on here? And what am I actually going to do today? If you go through that process, which sometimes we do in a normal day without thinking about our Productivity Ninja training, we feel so much more in control. And that's what we're looking for here. We want to feel in control. We know what we're working on. So this is the weekly review checklist. I will share the link with you shortly. I just don't want to distract you at the moment. You'll get this. You can download this from our website. It goes through all the stages of how to do the weekly review. And the reason the checklist is important is it gives us a structure. Otherwise, it's quite easy to get sidetracked. And the checklist goes through 5 stages. And the 5 stages of the weekly review are clearing the decks, getting everything back to zero, like gathering any voicemails, any post-it notes we've scribbled on, any thoughts that are in our brain, just sort of capturing everything into one place. Looking back, that's when we take time to just look back and think, where's the mess from the week? Look at my notes that are in my notebook, look at my calendar for the last week, and all of this is listed in the checklist for you. Any notes or actions that I need to capture into my second brain. Stage 3, updating the second brain. We're kind of doing that as we do stage 1 and 2, but stage 3, we really spend that time hanging out with our second brain and look at what should be on the different lists that are in there. Have I got a waiting for list where I'm waiting for things from other people? Have I got a good ideas list where I'm just capturing my good ideas, and my master action list, the to-do section? So spending time in that second brain. Have I got deadlines on things? Have I got due dates? Then we do a bit of planning, looking forward. What's coming up? Get ready for the week or the month ahead. Get ready. In the good old days, it might be things like checking travel bookings and hotel reservations. But these days it's about, have I got the Zoom link or the Teams link for the meeting next week? And have I sent the invitation with the Zoom link for next week? So just planning ahead. And then the final stage is a bit of mindfulness, checking in with ourselves. How's my energy? How's my attention? Am I doing things I love? Am I making time in my life and my calendar to get some enjoyment in my life and my work? Am I finding time for people and community? What am I resisting? So there are some good questions here set out in stage 5. So as I said, all this is written down for you on this checklist. I just wanted to give you the flow before we get too stuck into the detail. So I want to hear from some of you about this. Where are you at? That's basically the content, and I'll share that link with you shortly for the checklist. But I'd love to just hear a couple of stories, get a couple of you to share. What are you thinking about this so far? When could be a good time to do the weekly review? Where might you do this? At the moment, it's probably at home. But yeah, could you do this with someone else? Do you already do one? Do you already do one? And how does it go for you? So I'd love to hear if anyone's willing to share. You're able to unmute yourself, I think. Otherwise, just put in the chat me and I can unmute you. But I'd love to hear from a couple of people, get some real life stories.
Hi, it's Carla here.
Hi, Carla.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I'm trying, that's why I wanted to say try to do a to-do list, because I find that if I don't write something that I need to do, it just goes, I can't remember it. And what I try to do to get my discipline and get, my short-term reward is I do a tick box. So every time I've done something, I tick. But I'm finding that because my to-do list is becoming longer, that I have to remind myself to do my to-do list. And sometimes it becomes, I'm drowning in all the things that I need to do. I also have found, tried to have Friday as what I call my no meeting day. Yeah. So then I can focus on the other things. But so far it hasn't been quite successful because everyone can access and book stuff in your calendar.
Yeah, that happens, doesn't it? Thank you, Carla. I really appreciate you sharing that. We sometimes recommend you put meetings in your calendar, make it look like you're in a really important meeting. Put like Project Magenta in your calendar for 3 hours on Friday afternoon, and no one knows what Project Magenta is, but they'll think, oh, she's working on something really important. I better not book a meeting then. Because if you just put free time or planning time or something, and people can read that, potentially they might book stuff in there. Thanks, Carla. That's great. And as this to-do list gets longer and longer and longer, the weekly review gets even more important. Now, Julie's shared in the chat, Friday mornings is the best weekly review time. Yeah, that works for me as well. And Liz says Friday afternoon blocked out for reflection and preparation. But I always seem to get interrupted. Yes.
Sorry, it's Rachel.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I tend to do a review twice a week. I find somewhere around a Wednesday mid-afternoon to do a little bit of reflection of what tasks were carried over from the week before. And then generally on a Friday afternoon, I also have a couple of tasks which have continuity from week to week. So they've plugged into my Outlook calendar with a reminder 15 minutes before to set about an hour aside to make sure it gets done and it has the reflection element at the end of it. And then although I work independently, I do have a cluster group, which we meet fortnightly. So then on a Friday after that meeting, we get together and regroup and reprioritize as a collective, and then go back and then have to review again on the to-do list. But I'm one of those people that sort of have a to-do list that grows, as probably everyone does. I do tick them off, but I have those reviews where you'll find things carry over from week to week because they don't have that priority. And that's what I'm trying to get a little bit better at, not having things go 3 or maybe 4 weeks carrying over because it's something on back burner that isn't the priority for the organisation or myself for that time.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Rachel. And we all have these things that stay on our to-do list that just kind of keeps rolling over and rolling over. One of the things I like to say about that is that can cause a lot of stress because it feels like, why am I never getting this thing done? Why am I never getting this thing done? Part of the review process is also looking at that thing and thinking, am I really going to do this? Like, and if it's a good idea, that's why the idea of having a good idea list separate to your to-do list is a good idea, because you don't lose the idea, because often that thing that's rolling over might be something that you'd like to do or you think you should do, but you're never getting to it, and it makes you feel this sense of dread or guilt or failure, if I can say that. I don't know, we shouldn't be feeling failure because we're all doing our best, but putting it on the good ideas list instead of the action list can just help take off that pressure. But then if it's something that has to get done, you put it back on the action list, and that's where the weekly review, any review is great, because we're starting to look at all the different priorities. And I love the fact that you're doing one midweek as well. It sounds like you've got quite a lot of review in your life, because you've got midweek, you got end of the week, and you've got your cluster meeting, which is great. I think the more review we can do, the more we feel in control, and the more we feel in control, the more we're focusing on our priorities. So thank you for sharing. We'll do more sharing at the end. I just want to make sure we sort of wrap up in time and then get on to the actual doing of this together, and we can keep chatting once I stop the recording, if you like. So yeah, thanks, Shane. I love the idea of good ideas. It's a good idea to have a good idea list, definitely. All right, so just before I share the checklist with you and we get into doing the weekly review together, there's a whole lot of other ways to connect with us. I just wanted to share this with you today. We've got our 6 Weeks to Ninja program coming up. It starts on the 10th of August. And I really want to get a lot of people in there. I want to fill that up. We've got a mission at the moment during July and August just to share the Ninja with as many people as we possibly can, particularly with so much lockdown and stress and COVID rearing its ugly head again in Australia. So I wanted to share, I'll just share the link for that. I've got the link here. Sorry, bear with me. I want to share the link for that 6 Weeks to Ninja so that you can jump in there today. I've set up that promo code just for today. I'm just going to get that link. I've been a naughty ninja and lost the link. Sorry about that. Here we go. Just share that link for you now. This takes you through to the information about the 6 Weeks to Ninja. Sorry, just bear with me. Okay, and then this link is the link for the checklist. Just getting that here now. Sorry about this. I had it in the document, but it's closed on me. I've just got to open up this link. So we've also got, in August, we're offering free 30-minute check-ins for teams and individuals. So yeah, the sessions for 6 Weeks to Ninja are going to be Tuesdays from 9 till 11, I think it is. So it's 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. It's a group session. We'll be sharing a lot of ideas. There's a lot of information on the website. I'm sorry, I probably haven't given you enough detail for that at the moment, but I didn't want to sort of bog this session down with that. But yeah, every Tuesday morning, goes for 6 weeks. We cover a whole lot of Productivity Ninja content. 30-minute check-in sessions. These are going to be free sessions that we're offering teams and individuals, anyone that wants them. We're just happy to check in with you and your team for 30 minutes. We've got our usual corporate workshops and university workshops with Study Ninja and all our Productivity Ninja stuff. So there's so much going on. So get in touch if you want any other support at the moment. We are honestly here to help as much as we can forever, but especially during August and July when COVID is causing so much stress for us. There's the link for the weekly review checklist. So if you go to that link, you can download the checklist I was talking about from our website. And now I just want to come back to the slides and wrap up. And then we're going to do the weekly review together. For those of you that want to stay, on the line, I'm going to sit here for the next probably hour or so doing my weekly review, and we can talk and chat and work on it together. So download that checklist. And if you want to stay around for an hour and ask questions and support each other as we do this, that's what we can do. I will stop the recording now and just then see if there's any further questions or discussions from anyone. So yeah, once again, thanks so much for joining. If you need to leave, thanks for your time. And otherwise, let's stay and do this thing together. Let's do it.